Welcome to Hair Hero, the podcast where we dive deep into the minds of the best in the business to uncover what makes them tick and sometimes what makes them twitch. I'm your host, Ryan Weeden, founder of Masters of Balayage and creator of Masters Academy. Join me each week for impactful conversations with industry leaders, icons, influencers, and trendsetters. Get ready to be inspired, learn from the pros, and maybe even have a laugh or two. Because let's face it, if we can't have fun talking about hair, we're doing it wrong. Let's get started. Hey, we're back today with Jamie Dana and Ryan Weeden. That's me.
And that's me.
That's you. Hey, we thought that it might be cool to talk about what it's like to put on an event of any size, because I feel like any type of event, even if it's like an education class or live class, the same amount of work kind of goes into it, whether it's for 5 people or whether it's for 500 people. And Jamie, you've got your event coming up. You've got the Ember Retreat, which I'm stoked to be speaking at.
Yeah.
And that's the date on that is October
13th through the 16th. Yes.
It's on my cozy. I
don't even know. Calendar somewhere.
People ask me when is Hero, and I'm like, it's September.
Sometime in September.
September, the only 21st-ish.
Yeah. The only reason why I know it's like 2 days after my birthday, so I'm like, okay, it's somewhere around my birthday.
Oh, no way!
Got it.
That's amazing. Well, thanks for being at Hero, and we'll have to celebrate your birthday too.
Yeah, we should.
So Ember Retreat. This is how many times have you done that event or events like it?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, kind of in my career, I haven't done a lot of, and I think that this conversation is fun because you've done different styles of events. I've done different styles of events. I started Ember Retreat with a business partner, Piper DeYoung. She's been in the beauty industry, hair industry for a while now, but her and I started it in 2017 was when we started planning the first one. And the first one was in 2018, which is just wild. It was one of the first hair retreats that were out there. In fact, I think we were the first to come to market in that capacity. I mean, there had been a lot of other retreat adjacent type of events, but we were the first one that was okay, we're going in and we're not doing hair education. It's all business education. It's all inclusive, meaning you get your hotel, your food, everything, all the speakers paid for literally for, 3 to 4 days. So it was go retreat from your business and learn about business at the same time. So that was kind of the vision for it. And we actually drew the vision from the photographer world because her and I have a ton of friends in the wedding industry and in photography. And there was this retreat for photographers, and I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it being a retreat for photographers. And I was like, that is brilliant. And nobody's doing that in the hair industry. And so we both had coffee one day and we were hey, what could this look like? So we had 2 in 2018, which again is also wild to think that we planned 2 massive events in 1 year. And then we did another one in 2019. We had another one planned for 2020, and that obviously had to get canceled. So we rescheduled it to 2021. And at that point, we still had to reschedule it just because everything with COVID was so crazy. So we technically have done, and then we had one last year in 2023. So we've planned 5, we did 4 of them, and we have this last one coming up in October. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just cool to see how it's evolved and changed over the years and all of that too.
Yeah. And I guess before I ask you more questions, I can kind of talk about how Hero started. And
sure.
It's funny. You say yours started with the idea and then over coffee.
Yeah.
Mine started pretty similarly, where I got the idea for wanting to do this. You said you got yours from wedding photographers that took a retreat. I went to personal growth events.
Yeah.
And the first big one I went to, I've always been interested in them, and I've watched them on TV, and I've done some virtuals here and there. But I went to one actually in San Diego called Influencer in 2018 and 2019. I think it was.
Yeah, was that Brendan Burchard?
Brendan Burchard was in town, and he put on such a killer show, and it was 3 power pack day. I think it was 3 days of just from 7 in the morning to 7 p.m. You never left your seat because one, you didn't know what was coming next, and 2, that it was just so content value rich that I'm whoa, this is amazing. I was impressed on how he was on stage a lot, but he had all these incredible guests come out that were masters of their field. They talked about everything from marketing to storytelling to business principles to mindset. And I just left so full. And I wanted to give that type of experience to hairdressers, but I'd never put on an event like that. And you had a partner, Piper. I just had that idea in my head. I'm like, one day I want to do this. And funny enough, later that year, I was maybe the beginning of the next year. I can't even remember. It's a whirlwind at this point. It's like how many years have gone by since we did our first one. But I was sitting around at, I think it was Premiere Orlando, and with my buddy Rob, my best friend Rob. And I'm just like, dude, I would just love to somehow put together like a personal growth kind of event for hairdressers. And of course, show them like the balayage and the blonding, but kind of give them what they need to really take their careers and their life to the next level.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, bro, I put on events. That's what I do. And instead of coffee, we were drinking beer and shooting tequila shots. But we're just like, let's do it.
Same thing,
And I think at that time too, we're just like, let's call it Hero. We came up with it like almost on the spot. It was just wild. I'm like, oh yeah, whoa, Hero. And we get this energy together. We just like rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And then we put our next one on in less than a year. And man, we threw that together. And the first one you were at the first one.
Was that the first one in 2020?
The first one. Oh yeah, that was a shit show. Yeah, it was fun.
You know what? It was wild because it was literally like weeks before the world shut down. And I remember being there, and so it's in Orlando, Florida. And like from my perspective, I'm a speaker, I'm coming in, and that was my first time I had ever been to Disney World. So, I'm exploring that. And I just remember like this feeling in the air of people being like, what's going to happen? There's this coronavirus. And I remember going to Disneyland and everything.
Everybody's like Corona.
Yeah. And there was like the little fingerprint things to get into Disney World. And I was thinking like, they're going to have to wash these because like that coronavirus is like going to get all over everything. And no joke. It was like maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks later, everything was shut down. We snuck our first one in just right under the radar. And then the world shut down. Yeah, that was incredible timing. But you were at our first one and that was amazing. And I know we paid you like peanuts, so thank you for being there for the experience, because I know it was an experience. We had a wedding DJ, going back to the weddings, a wedding DJ. That's all we could afford, and it was almost like on a kind of a bro deal. For like he knew him from an event, and he's like, hey, you want to do this? We'll give you like $500 for the show. And he's like, oh, I can handle it. And it's like got PowerPoints on the ceiling because we couldn't afford enough AV or an AV team to run the thing. And I swear I thought the stage was going to burn down at one point.
Yeah, but that's how it goes. And that's the thing, like, that's so fun. And I think like for anybody who's listening, that's maybe like thinking about doing an event or hosting a class, or maybe you have hosted a class and it was a shit show, like maybe you're like, well, what is happening? Like, that's how it begins. And there's like this thought that's out there that's like, if you start something and it's perfect the first time, you started too late. Like you took too long to start it, right? Like it's got to be bad the first time. It's got to not be perfect, And like even Ember, we look back and we're like, wow, like we were actually like really proud of how it started, but like seeing what it is now, we're just like, oh my gosh, it's evolved. And like the things we didn't know that time that we now know after, 5 retreats, it's just crazy. And you just learn along the way and you figure it out, and you laugh at how much you paid people, and you're like, hey, thanks for saying yes, thanks for coming to this thing, and you figure it out, and every time gets better and you get stronger and smarter about things. And I don't know.
It's also funny because sorry, I'm messing with my microphone's going in and out here. Okay. When I see all these new educators that are starting their training, and I'm all about like, go for it. I'm excited for you. Ask me for any advice that you might need. And I'm very open with like helping people, because we're all at different stages of where we're at. And I could tell everybody I know about how to do something, and it's not like they're going to be able to do it overnight. They're still going to have to learn on their own, try what works for them. So I'm always just like, hey, I'm excited to do this. Please ask me if you have any questions, advice, needing, I'm happy to offer it. Never get those calls. Nobody ever asks for advice. They always want to figure it out on their own. And when I see people that their ticket prices are like initially through the roof, they're like, hey, we'll give you a mannequin head. We'll give you lunch. We'll give you breakfast and snacks. And I'm just like, don't offer the lunch. Don't offer the lunch. You can't afford it for your first class. And then it's like, you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody's dietary requirement. And just all of these things you learn from experience of doing things. It's just like, I know you're trying to be everything for everybody. and it's great that you want to give all that value, but just like one step at a time, focus on the content, on making them leave with the knowledge that they came to grab. They didn't come for the
free lunch. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think also too, like as you do more events, you start to realize all the like nitty gritty things that you never thought about, right? Like for instance, the dietary restrictions, or, you know, what if somebody shows up late? What if they can't travel in? So like one of the things that we learned a lot was policies around what would happen if somebody couldn't come, somebody had to transfer their ticket, you know, and I think we had some of those things in place in the first one, but then like, for instance, at our first retreat, we had an attendee, and mind you, this is a 3-day retreat. So it's like, they're staying there. We're booking their rooms. Everything's taken care of for them. She brought her dog with her, and it wasn't like a service animal. Like it was like a little tiny like dog. And this thing's like barking in the middle of the sessions. And we're like, okay, like again, not something we ever thought of that this would be a problem, but she's bringing this dog to like the classes. The dog pees on one of the other attendees like during the class. And we're like, oh my gosh, like would never have thought that would have to be something we have to like write into the policies. But like, yeah, no, you can't bring a baby, you can't bring a dog, you know, you can't bring your child, your husband, like, or whatever, your partner, like, nope, got to think about those things. And, you know, and then every year we've just kind of had to like evolve in all of that stuff. So yeah, I think just having those policies in place, like obviously you're not going to be able to know all the things, but just be really smart about when people are buying tickets, like what you're including, like make it very obvious. Like this is what we're including. This is what's not included, you know, cause you'll have somebody like, let's say you're not including lunch, and then somebody shows up and they're like, wait, I thought lunch was included. It's like, no, we like made sure that we said that or whatever. Or somebody can't come. What's the refund policy look like? Do you have a refund policy? Do you have a ticket transfer policy? What does that look like? Are you responsible for transferring the ticket? Are they responsible for transferring the ticket? You know, what if they get in a car accident or get sick the day before and they can't come? Like, do you give them back their money? You know, and I think like with all of those policies, obviously you have different times too, where you maybe give concessions for certain things, but yeah, it's, again, you just kind of learn as you go and figure it out. And figured out from doing it wrong the first time. And like, okay, you gotta have a policy in place for that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. The list of things that go wrong are just endless. But I think what makes these events great and what makes the event organizers great are the ability to adapt. So if you want to have an event or teach a class, you need to be willing to accept that not everything is going to go according to plan, and be willing to adapt and kind of laugh it up in front of the audience instead of just going, God, you know, cursing a storm, be like, this is not supposed to go this way.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. The whole place could be crumbling behind you.
Yeah.
But they don't know that. So you got to go out there and put on that happy face and continue along. And we've had people finish their hour session 30 minutes early. And
wow.
At times we didn't have anything in store for that because we're on a tight schedule. And then the same thing, people that go over, it's a lot harder if they leave early, because then you have this weird gap. And then it would be something like, Ryan, she just walked off the stage, or he just walked off the stage. What do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. Give me the mic. Give me the mic. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to go out there and do something. And it's like, you have to have the courage to go out there and just freaking wing it and just be like, hey guys.
Like a dancing monkey. All right. So now we're going to talk about, you know.
Right, exactly. So, hey, how many of you are salon owners? And I don't know. Have some ideas. Let's do a giveaway. Yay. Guys, we need to give away. You got to find ways to kill time. You got to find ways to extend time. You got to find ways to entertain. I think the biggest part of it is the entertainment value. You need to be bigger than yourself. Normally, you need to, 10x yourself, 20x yourself. So lots of things can go wrong with events, but it's about how you react to it. That's what makes the event extra special.
Yeah. So I'm curious for you, what is like something that, I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about like how you got started with Hero. And I know you used to do like in salon events. I know you still do as part of Masters of Balayage. Are you still doing those things, or are you at this point, like your team handles it? What does that kind of event look like? Because that is a different type of event versus this massive big event like Hero.
Balayage. You know, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it. Your clients just want to know that you're good at it because they're paying a lot of money for your service. Sure, you can take a class here and there, search on YouTube, learn a hack here and there on Instagram, but it's never going to be enough because to excel at balayage, you need structured learning with experts that have been where you are and can show you how to reach your goals. Hi, I'm Ryan Weeden, founder of Masters of Balayage and one of the first balayage experts to bring modern balayage to millions. And right now, Masters Academy, the #1 online trainer for balayage artists, is now offering lifetime memberships. That's right, no more monthly payments, no more overdrafts, just a one-time payment and you can get over 100 hours of balayage and blonding tutorials on demand to watch and rewatch on your time. Our new Masters Academy lifetime membership also includes our 3 world-famous certification programs, the Balayage Masters Program, the Blonde Masters Program, and the Extensions Masters Program. Not only do you get to own all 3 of these now, you also get Master Certified. So if you're stuck, lacking that balayage confidence, or just need an awesome excuse to raise your prices, Masters Academy is the answer. And right now, you can save $100 off any lifetime membership. Just go to www.mobmastersacademy.com and use code MYLIFE at checkout to redeem your $100 off promotion. I'm going to say it again, so go grab a pen and write this down. Go to www.mobmastersacademy.com and use code MYLIFE and redeem your promotion now. Right, yeah, and it's funny. There's a lot of different models and ways to do it, and I've done things over the years. I started the Masters of Balayage, like the actual traveling, in 2016. That's when the company was started, and I was the self-proclaimed master of balayage because there's nobody else in the company. So I was Masters of Balayage.
I was the one, yes.
I'm like, nobody else is going to call me or crown me a master. I'm like, I'm going to be a master. But you wear that crown, it's like you got a lot to live up to. So that's another reason why I did that, because I am always somebody that's trying to seek mastery in life and always trying to be an expert or better than I was yesterday. Yeah. So I'm like, if I call myself a master of balayage, I better damn well work my ass off until I become pretty damn good at what I do. So then I was traveling a lot. And I think when I first started traveling, it was funny because at the time we had, I don't know, maybe 5,000 followers on Mob, like not a lot. We were just gaining traction. And I knew that I wanted to educate, but at this time there wasn't a lot of in-salon education that wasn't from like a big company. Or salon centric or something like that. There was very little independent education. Yeah.
It was like just getting started around.
It was just kind of like ramping up. Yeah. So I literally was starting locally. I'm like, okay, I wanted to find a salon to host me and so they had teach their team or invite some people from outside. And I created a PowerPoint to basically sell myself for them, so that like, this is what you're going to learn from me. This is why you should allow me to come into your salon basically for free. Like I wasn't even charging the hosts. I mean, I think that my ticket prices were like $50 a piece or something super affordable, but nobody's going to pay money unless they're going to realize a return on it. Sure. So I went to the salon and like, I literally felt like I was interviewing for a job. I had my laptop and I'm like, so this is what we're going to go through. This is the format. And I was in a salon suite at the time. And there's another guy in the salon suite and I'm like, hey, you want to teach with me? I just wanted somebody else there that was just, I don't know, another body, I guess, to try to look like a company of some kind. And finally was able to do my first class at a salon locally in San Diego in La Jolla. And oh my God, talk about going back to a shit show. This was an absolute shit show. The salon wasn't closed. There were people coming in and out.
Like there clients?
Were clients. There were people that would walk up to me, look at me. Clients were walking around, looking at what I was doing. I was talking, but nobody was listening to me. I have some footage. I saw some footage of it from recently I did, and it was so embarrassing to watch how little control I had over the situation. I didn't have any self-boundaries. I didn't have a loud controlling voice. Not that it's a loud controlling voice, but I didn't know how to control a room and say, hey guys, let's pay attention. I wanted to grab the attention and hold the attention because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm doing hair, which is something that I was good at, but doing hair and teaching other people, that's a whole other skill.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be standing in front doing hair, but then for them to actually see what you're doing, I mean, you have to change your body position. You have to talk to the audience while you're actually progressing through the look. And it was like one of those things. Okay, Band-Aid was ripped off. I did another one, still pretty terrible. The next one, I tried something different, and I'm like, okay, I brought in the screen, I had a PowerPoint, and I'm doing this. And we're talking about why balayage, what is balayage, this is balayage, and this is how you're going to be more successful. And then did a look and added the hands-on version to that. And I think at first I bought mannequins for everybody. They were a lot cheaper back then, but still $30 a pop or $40 a pop back then.
Right.
Now they're like incredible, like $100 or more.
It's crazy.
The first half year was a kind of a blur because I was just taking whatever host would allow me to come in, trying to get as many people into that class as possible, free or paid, whatever it would take to get anywhere from 10 to 15 people. And then as our following started to grow, there wasn't a lot of noise on Instagram at that time. So, they got balayage classes. And then we started to just crush it and take off, and people were signing up from all over the world and coming to see it. And thankfully, because I wouldn't want people coming from all over the world to come see my first or second class. They'd be like, what the refund, please. So that's how it began. And you learn so much along the way, because going back to like, hey, we're going to cater in lunch and have snacks and coffee and breakfast. And you realize all that is such a big waste of money as you're moving along, because most people will show up having had eaten, or they'll come in with their Starbucks. And then if you have coffee there, it's kind of, you just wasted all this money on coffee and croissants. And usually only one or two people will have any of that. Lunch, you're going to have people that are vegetarians or vegans or allergic to nuts. And it's like, also, who wants to stay in the salon after they've been in the salon all morning and they're going to be in the salon all afternoon? Like, if you're in an area where there's local places to get a local feel and experience, go out, get some sunlight, walk around a little bit. It's good for you. Plus it gives the educators and us a break from you so that we can refocus and bring our energy back to the afternoon. It's exhausting to teach a class and then jump into a hands-on. And if you're doing a demo in the morning and a hands-on in the afternoon, then you need to rearrange whatever space that you're in. I think one of the biggest transitions we made in our education was we went from host salons, and we were like, that was great, but sometimes the host salons, you don't get a chance to walk in them if they're in a different state, and they might be dirty, or they might be some kind of a strange or unique layout where it might look okay on, like, we can work with this on a photo, but you actually get there, like, ooh, there's a big pillar in the way here. Nobody's going to be able to see. You got to go 17 rows back, and nobody's going to be able to see back there. So we're like, let's take more control of this, and we're going to get hotels. And we try to get these hotels, but then to do balayage at a hotel, you got to pay for all this extra money for like the bisqueen on the floor, because God forbid you get bleach all over the carpet and you stain it. So then it just looks like Dexter. It looks like you're about to do a lot of bad things and cover it all up, without a trace. And it lacked that kind of unique feel. And then the outlets, you put more than two plugs, two blow dryers into an outlet there. We blew every hotel we went into, all the power. We were always getting the circuits retouched up there. And then of course, where are you going to shampoo your clients? There's nowhere to shampoo your clients. We were sneaking into kitchens and bathrooms and hotel rooms, or get extra hotel rooms. And it was just such a mess. So we went back to host salons. It was just, there's no right way to do it. But it takes actually doing something to learn what works and what doesn't, and find your own system.
It's wild to hear you say that, because I actually have only taught one hair class ever in my entire career. And it was at a host salon, and they kind of asked me to come in and teach. And I want to say this was back in, it was probably 2017. And it was this random salon that reached out to me. They were fans of my online education because I have all my online Instagram education at the time that was just like getting started. And they were like, hey, we want you to come teach a hair class. And I was like, sure, great, you know, and they kind of took care of it. So I didn't really have that experience. It was a small class. I don't even know what I charged for it, but I remember thinking, this is so much work, especially because all that I've ever done for education was teach online education. And if I teach it online or I teach a class in, you know, a salon or at a convention, I bring my laptop and that's it. I don't have to prep models ahead of time. I don't have to bring color. I don't have to bring mannequins. I don't have to bring anything. So this was an experience for me to like try it out. And I was like, okay, it was fun. I'm glad I did it. I don't want to do that again. And that's what I realized. I was like, okay, I love teaching Instagram. I love teaching business. And that's like what I kind of landed into. But yeah, it's a completely different experience. And I think for somebody who, you know, is a stylist, is an amazing stylist at their salon, is great with their clientele. Like maybe you're listening to this and maybe you're like, I don't ever want to teach ever again based off of what Ryan and Jane are saying. But I mean, like there is so much amazingness of it too. And I think like you and I can both agree. It's like, it is that feeling of being in person, seeing those connections being made, being able to share something and having that stylist who has maybe is a new stylist or a stylist who's been in the industry for 25, 30 years and then watch that technique and see, and the light bulbs go off and them try it out themselves. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been needing because I've just been doing root touch-ups and highlights now, you know, or I didn't actually learn this in school or whatever. Those are the moments as to like why we do what we do. And there's so much magic in that. And like, yeah, there's some hard parts about it too. You know, you become an event planner, you become a logistics person, you know, but at the same time, like there's so much magic in that too. So, I think that there's so much power in it and it can be so much fun. It's just, I think like having expectations of like, okay, this is what I'm walking into, that it's not just like what you see on Instagram. You show up at the salon, you do some amazing hair, you have a fun time teaching and you go home. There's so much from selling tickets and marketing the class. Like that's a side people don't talk about, you know, getting all the logistics ready. Like you said, making sure you have the right mannequins and enough tools for everybody to use for hands-on and stands and all of that stuff, to coordinating everything. Like there's so much that goes into it. That is just the behind the scenes that the pretty Instagram reel does not show, you know, but I think there's so much power in it too. So yeah.
I think another question a lot of people might have too is cost.
Yeah.
To put on an event, because at first glance, somebody might look at this and be like, wow, they got all these people in there. Or even let's just start at a live event. You know, we charge maybe, I don't know, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a 2-day event. At a host salon, at a hotel, whatever. And people are like, wow, there's like 30, 40 people in here. That's like, let's say 40 times $1,000, $40,000. I mean, that's pretty good. But that's a full class. Some classes are half full. Some classes are less. But then if you think about, okay, well, there's 3 educators teaching there. There's assistants there. They all are not local from the salon. They all had to fly there. They're in hotels. We're like, okay, so each educator costs us roughly $5,000 with travel and hotel and per diems
food and Ubers
and payment, and so that's like $15,000, and then we've got all these other added expenses on top of that, and then of course we're you're paying for online services, you're paying for your website, you're paying for your ticketing site, the
ticketing fees.
You're paying taxes on all that. You know, it's not like you're just not clearing $40K or $20K. It's like sometimes you're just breaking even though it might look like they're making a killing. As far as our business is concerned, our live education is probably the least profitable when it comes down to the net income. You might make $500,000, or I think we made like almost $1 million one year because it was just like an incredible year. But then you end up spending $600,000 or $700,000, you know, in other fees, other expenses, and marketing, and all these other, and it's not just one person doing it. You're paying other people's livelihoods. You're paying their salaries. When you have a company, you've got a company. You're paying for employees and your employee taxes and space rent, and there are
all the things.
But But most people, it's not that they are turning a blind eye to it. They just don't know until they actually try something like that themselves. Yeah. And then you got an event like Hero. We kind of got screwed this year, and I'll tell you why. Because
this is the tea, everyone.
Yeah, this is the tea, because
the behind the scenes. Yeah,
we got this so-called awesome hotel, and they are just they're the worst hotel we've ever had to deal with, and they've been hearing from us, and they will hear from us after the fact, and they're not flexible. They're never available. They're and on top of that, they're the most expensive hotel we've ever had to pay for.
Wow.
And we'll never do an event in San Diego again. That's one. It's a destination place. It's great, but man, they know how to potentially take advantage of you if you don't have tons of resource. So all in all, we're probably going to break even on this event. You know, it's going to be an incredible event, and we're going to have lots of people there, and tickets sold and retail sold. But all in all, like we'll probably be lucky this year if we break even. I think overall, I don't know. It's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to have this event. Yeah, from the venue to the AV team to the staff and this is local for me. Probably $250 because also there's a certain amount of hotel rooms you have to fill up. If you don't fill up those hotel rooms, and they charge you,
you're on the hook for it.
But here's the effed up part of that too. They will then turn around and if you don't fill up all those hotel rooms on those nights, they can turn around and resell those to somebody else. Yeah. If you don't fill them by a certain amount of time. Yeah. So I'm like, no, they're not just available for you. They're not just going to sit vacant. They're like, well, we're still going to make extra money on top of that. So that's why they have all these
it's the contracts,
backdoor policies and contracts in place. So I would say you'll know why people hold events in Texas a lot, hold events in Florida. Or in places where you might not be super excited to go, but the event itself might be magical because they can take all that extra money that they spent for location and amp it up into what they're giving you and what they're providing. Yeah. So man, the venue is hugely important to your net profit. But thankfully it's not our only business, and we have a lot of other things happening where we're releasing a color line.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
pumped.
Exciting.
Super pumped. And wait till you try this color. It's mind blowing. I mean, it's one of those where it's like it's taken us like 2 years where every color is better than any other line that I would want to use. So that's what it's all about. That's so exciting. But you can tell I'm a little heated today because the hotel has just been like, and I'm not the one even dealing with it.
I know. Well, I appreciate you being like transparent about it, because I think, as we have always said, you can see the glamour side from Instagram. You can see these people that look like, oh my God, they're so successful. And you are so successful, but it takes a hell of a lot of work to get there. And it takes a lot of money to get there too, that it's not all profit. It's not all this money coming in like, wow, Hero's bringing in tons of money. Like I could do that too. It's like, well, maybe. And also it's not what it looks like from the outside. So I appreciate the transparency. And I will say that like, I talked to so many people in our space, in the hair world, in the online world, and just a ton of different industries. Events aren't necessarily something that's necessarily going to bring in a ton of profit. But what they do is, to me, they're like a PR move. Like they are enhancing the brand. They're doing other things. They're giving access to people in a different way that strengthens that brand connection. And that's how we feel about Ember. To be honest, like the last couple of years, same thing, that we've been just about breaking even with, ticket sales being lower after COVID and trying to navigate that. Like before COVID, the year of COVID, we actually sold out our 2020 retreat. March 1st was when the tickets went on sale. So yay for that. We sold out in 24 hours, or like in the first 2 hours, we sold like literally 99% of our tickets, which is wild. And, it was at a $4,000 price point. So it sold, it did well. We had all of our retreats sell out. And then these last couple of years, it's been more challenging to sell those tickets, and the cost of the food and beverage. And like, we do include that stuff that literally doubled from COVID. Inflation has made a huge, massive thing. So we've had to readjust and change, and it's been harder. And I think for us and me personally, I look at events of not a moneymaker in the business. It does more than that. It's more about impacting people in a different way than they can get from a online workshop, an online course, an online class. It's something special about being in person. And yeah, like there's a different reason as to why we do it. And I'm sure you guys feel that way too, especially with the color line coming out and your brand enhancement. And it's just like, now you had, I know at the last year event, you had about 700 people who were there. Those are like people that are like in it with you now. Right. Whereas like if they watch just the membership or they just watch the course, like, yeah, they're devoted fans. They're going to love your content. They're going to love your education. And we all have I call them fangirls, we all have those people, but there's something special about it being in person. And I think like, that's the magic. And it's like, okay, yeah, we can complain about events and all these things, but like at the same time, there is something so special about it. And it's why we keep doing it, right? Yeah, otherwise, like we would not be doing this. Like why you're probably listening to this, being like, why are you still doing classes? Why are you still doing events if it's so shitty? It's like, no, it's like, because there is that magic and there is a bigger purpose to it. It's not just about that bottom line dollar making,
Well, yeah, you nailed it on the head there. You could also relate it to music. It's like going to a concert versus listening to I was going to say CD, but nobody listens to CDs anymore. But listening to Spotify, right? It's just, you're going to enjoy it. Sure, if you listen to it with Spotify, you can put on repeat, listen to it as many times. But live is a completely different experience. It's unfiltered. There's going to be changes in the song or connections with the audience, and you can't fake that energy when everybody is in unison watching and being part of the same experience with you. You can't do that with a computer screen.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. People that follow me know that. And, obviously, if you've not been living under a rock, she's on tour right now. And I saw her twice. And it truly is something that's just like, it even enhanced the music now that I listen to. So it's like, yeah, cool. Heard the music, listened to it for a long time, Spotify in my ears, whatever. But you go there in person, it's that magical experience. Like there's literally this like untapped energy that you can't even explain. And now when I listen to the music, I think back to those days of like that night when I was there at the concert, like it actually enhances it. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely something there that's just hard to even write up in words. Right. But, and I think like, it's just great to be able to offer that. And I also think that like post-COVID, our industry needs that. And that's been like the saddest thing to me is so many events that happened pre-COVID, whether it was hair shows, the hair show landscape has changed. Conferences have changed. People just aren't buying tickets. And I don't know if you guys are seeing that with your in-person classes in the salon with Hero,
Oh yeah. We're changing our whole model next year. Yeah.
Yeah, because people just aren't buying tickets. And it makes me sad because I'm like, gosh, what you're missing out on. I understand that it's a big investment. And I understand that, it's whatever, you got to budget it into your education. But education is so important. And there is something that's really different and unique about being there in person. And like, yes, you and I both teach online education. I love that every day. But at the same time, there's something so special about that. So that's what makes me sad about our industry is we're not seeing that as much.
Right.
And I'm like, like if you would only take that leap, take that investment, book the plane ticket, come to the event, you would literally have your business change. And I know I've been a part of a mastermind. I've been a part of events like that. Like you mentioned with you going to Brendan Burchard's event. Can you imagine where your business might be if you hadn't attended that event? Like that changed the trajectory of a lot of things that you did. Same thing with me. I've been a part of these events and things that I've gone to, and they've literally made massive changes in my business. And I'm so grateful that I went to them. And I can't imagine where my business would be if I hadn't experienced that.
Absolutely. I think also too, it's important for people that aren't necessarily self-starters, because you need to be a self-starter, somebody that can focus on an online course to get the most out of it. But it's obviously not for everybody. If you're thrown into a live event, you have no choice but to be part of it. I mean, there's no way but to be swept up into it and to learn something and to do the work. You're not going to be pretending to journal while everybody else is journaling something. If you're prompted by the person on the stage, hey, write down, your reason why you blah, 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 blah. You're not going to just fake it. You're going to actually do the work. And that's where you have these incredible breakthroughs. Yeah. That's why it's important to show up for, I would say, at least one live event per year. It's so important. If you could And what I try to do is one at the beginning and one at the end of the year. Summer is just like, it's hard to get focused on anything. I get it.
Yeah.
But beginning of the year, end of the year, try to do something that really brings you together. Not only are you going to have this new invigorated feeling going back into your life, and not just your business, your life, you're probably going to meet some of your new best friends.
Yes. Yeah. And I think like also too, one of the things that I keep hearing from hairstylists, and I'm sure that you probably have heard this from either people that are coming to classes or you're talking to in your DMs, but I have so many people saying to me, like, I'm just so burnt out. Like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but I have to keep doing it because it pays the bills. But like, I'm not getting clients. I'm not making that much money, inflation. And, like that kind of negative energy around our industry and stylists and salon owners and all of that. And going to an event is the thing that can break you out of that. Yeah. Going to an event, being around like-minded people, because again, if you think about it, the amount of people who come to an event like Hero, that's like less than 1% of our industry. I mean, it's like probably 0.1% of our industry. Those are people that you want to be surrounded by. Again, sitting next to somebody that you've never met before from a completely different state. And you're like, wow, watching them learn and journal and interact. And you're like, okay, yeah, like these are my people. This is who I want to be around. It inspires you in a completely different way than what you can get in your room watching an online course or just going about your day, with everybody complaining in the back room, hearing the same thing over and over again. And early on in my career, that was something that was really important to me, was going to hair shows, going to events like this. And I was able to leave a very toxic salon environment because of that, because they were all like, wait, what are you going to? Why are you going to that class? Why are you doing this? Da, 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 da. And it was just negative energy all the time. And it was the thing that broke me out of it. And I was like, yeah, I'm moving forward without you guys. I left that salon, opened my salon suite, then opened my salon, started my online education, and my career took off because of that. And I truly believe that events are part of that. So I think that's another reason why I keep doing them and why I love them. And when people ask me to be a part of them, I'm like, yeah, like let's try to make it happen, because I just see so much power in that, Yeah.
Well, if you've gotten nothing else from this, come to one of these events, come to Ember, come to Hero, do something for yourself to surround yourself with your people so you can learn, be immersed in the experience, and have that kind of a quantum leap of growth. That's how it happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today. Yeah. I think it was so helpful from it was people who are like thinking about doing events themselves, people who just are maybe wanting the tea around events. I love this. And it's, I learned a lot from you just hearing your story. So
I learned a lot from you too. That was fun. Good. It was almost like a venting session in a way too, because it's just like, that happened to you too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh, I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah. I love it.
All right, Jamie. Well, we'll talk very soon. And man, this was fun.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for joining today, guys. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Hair Hero. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. And don't forget to screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging us at Masters of Balayage. We'd love to see your posts and share them. Until next time, remember, be bold, be brave, be you. See you in the next episode.